Man, it's gonna be so crazy seeing me wear like the same outfit for every fucking video because we're just recording. We're just hammering the fucking record button today. We are back though with another video. What's going on, everybody? GZTV. We are back and we are here with Dexter Resurrection. I just got done watching the 9th episode with my dad. We had to do a little bit of catching up. You know, I got him watching episode 8 and then I kind of came back for episode 9. I have been on the fucking content grind probably here for the next 5 hours or so. I'm gonna be just editing the fuck out of everything. I'm starting to work on my NFL video and then I gotta work on this Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. So much content. And man, I am afraid Dexter fans have another blood scenario on their hands, and I am one of those fans. And today we are going to be talking about everything important. This is a spoiler review. We talk about literally everything that happens in these episodes. In this episode, it's called Touched by an Angel, which we kind of knew what that meant. And I don't want to go on a rant in this video or anything, but for anyone who posts episode clips on YouTube, like damn near before anyone else sees them, go fuck yourself because you pissed me off. You actually spoiled something for me in this. Batista's death, they fucking spoiled it before I was even able to watch the episode, so thanks for that, you fucking losers. But anyway, you know, this episode wraps up several series-long storylines as one key character gets stuck in the crossfire of Dexter's duplicitous serial killer persona, as many characters have in this franchise. Prater's discovery about Harrison at the end of the last episode, go watch my review on that if you haven't, quickly led him to discover Dexter's true identity, and it all happened lickety-split. It all happened like that. It happened very, very fast here, and I do like the pace that they kind of decided to go with here. I know there's no GZTV sign in the background. You guys have noticed that about my videos, I'm sure, which made him even more excited to be in the presence of the Bay Harbor Butcher. Now, I did kind of knew to an extent that Prater was going to be like head over heels, like fanboying, but here we go. Prater gives Dexter the ultimate test and gift, in his point of view, by offering Angel Batista to him on a preset kill table. Dexter couldn't bring himself to kill Batista. Like, he's not going to do it. That was his old coworker from back in the Miami Metro days. He just couldn't do it, even though he could have justified it by the first rule of Harry's code, don't get caught. I mean, I guess this is kind of one of the first scenarios where that rule kind of comes in to kill someone. Regardless, Batista shot multiple times in the back by Prater, making him the latest member of Miami Metro PD to die because of Dexter's actions, and we are going to get through all that today, have a giant discussion, kind of review it a little bit at the end. Let's go. There were definitely some convenient story developments which deflated the great tension of this show, and there's a lot of people that are going to be all over the internet talking about it. This was a very controversial episode, possibly one of the most controversial episodes of the entire franchise. But a few early developments in this episode kind of have you questioning where this episode was going. I wasn't really sure about it. This might be one of the worst episodes of the season, and that's not a good thing. The second to last one, I don't know, it lost steam. I'll kind of give my thoughts throughout the video. Let's just keep it going. I mean, I did find it confusing that the subway scene would cut away without Angel confronting Harrison. I don't know, that didn't really make a lot of sense. I think the writers were kind of rushing things and they kind of stalled a little too long. They had a few too many like filler scenes and Blessing kind of getting in the way, and we still don't know if he's like the New York Ripper or not, and this whole thing with the theory kind of building up. So I don't really know, maybe they're trying to rush things a little too much, but I would have liked to see Angel and Harrison have that talk before Angel unfortunately passed away. Dexter slipped away, but Harrison was still there and would likely have spotted Angel in the same subway car. I don't know, there were a lot of things that didn't really make sense here. I do think the writers just had like this sort of tunnel vision to focus on the ending scene at Prater's mansion, which obviously resulted in Batista getting cut from the picture. There should have been some type of encounter between them after their earlier conversation about Harrison going down a dark path, because we know that like Batista was in support of Harrison, like when they were talking in the hotel and stuff, like he was in support, like he sympathized with them. He's like, your dad's a fucking monster, you don't need to live that lifestyle. And obviously Dexter has that same outlook on Harrison himself, but there you have it. I was also surprised that Harrison didn't find the unusual room service request a little fucking suspicious. Harrison also acted kind of stupid in this episode, considering everything that Dexter had told him about Prater and Ronald Schmidt and how these people are super analytical, stalk you, and all of these different things. I understand that Harrison was just following his hotel manager's orders. I mean, his manager did come into the room where he was talking to Lance about this like opportunity at Prater's mansion and talk to him, but it felt like a short-sighted decision both for his character and from a creative standpoint. Again, it's another kind of like plot move that the writers made, and this is kind of a generality with this episode. They made a lot of character moves and stuff and writing actions to kind of just push the storyline to the end here, when really we could have saved that final scene until episode 10. Now, I don't know what the hell is going to even result out of this. That makes it, I guess, a little bit more interesting given that Batista is literally out of the picture, but I don't know, man. This is weird. Uma Thurman is fantastic as the ice cold Charlie in that scene, but Harrison got out of that pickle a bit too conveniently, and they like cut ahead to him like giving a flashback to Dexter. I really wasn't sure about that. I feel like a better version of events may have included Charlie holding Elsa hostage to get the information on Dexter she needed. I think that would have very much helped the character development of Harrison as well. You know, Elsa was kind of like the love interest for the first bit of the season until he got into this criminology school, met Gigi, did all of this stuff. He still cares about Elsa deep down, cares for her son, and that would have been a cool moment, but I guess they don't want Elsa to be involved at all. I guess her character damn near just gets put on the back burner, like fuck her for the rest of the season. You might as well just say that. It wouldn't have taken her long to figure out that Harrison and Elsa were co-workers as well as good friends, given that she was literally staying in the fucking hotel, and it would have given Elsa a bigger purpose in the series other than Harrison's failed love interest and the link to the black mold landlord scenario that nearly got Dexter caught in the previous episode. I mean, sure, those are decent purposes, sure, those are decent motivations for keeping our character around, but I don't know, man. Learning Charlie's ex-military backstory and the situation with her mother that brought her to Praetor added some much needed context in the show. I will say, the show definitely does a few things right in this episode, including the whole situation with Charlie and Dexter getting to know a little bit more about her and her mother. I think that's nice. It's a relief that Charlie is simply the hired hand and is not actually part of Praetor's Sicko Club. It's kind of cool to see her being an outsider, being a somewhat normal person who served in the military, be kind of brought into this scheme for money. That's awesome. Batista getting exposed by Detective Wallace for impersonating a cop was the second most tragic scene for his character. A lot of things were kind of starting to go down for Batista, and you kind of figured something was coming down the pipeline, but you didn't really know when. But I'm still unsure why he chose to retire before going after Dexter. That's dumb as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't quite make sense. The writers are starting to kind of like trip over their own feet here. It ends in disaster usually with this show. I mean, when they're trying to wrap some shit up, it usually doesn't go well. I do think to an extent Original Sin probably wrapped up their show the best, even though it sucks now that we don't get a second season, but still. Knowing he'd lose his ability to enforce the law if he had the chance to book him, and I don't know why he was dumb enough to go to New York and interact with the NYPD and act like he was an active officer when he wasn't, and he knew that that was an arrestable offense. It doesn't make sense. This episode ultimately feels like it played it safe during a season that took so many phenomenal risks with the franchise, most of which have paid off, and I think that's been a huge problem with Dexter recently and why fans have kind of fallen out of love with the show, is just because they didn't take enough risk. And the second you go back to that formulaic and you get the same old, that's when the show gets kind of saturated, and fans kind of notice that, and that happens especially the episode before the finale, which is not a great sign, if I'm being honest with you. Dexter taking out Praetor's serial killer club one by one was very fucking entertaining, but once they were gone, it felt like the series wasn't left with much else to set up a climactic finale. I mean, that was the risky business, and they just kind of took it away before the finale. Fortunately, there's still one episode left to determine the fate of the show. At this point, we could have another New Blood situation on our hands, and you guys know how that fucking ended. I didn't really like shit on it too much because I wasn't really doing analytical reviews at that time, but it wasn't great. Angel's death was inevitable, obviously. Like, we knew Angel was probably going to die eventually, which sucks because no one really wanted that to happen, but it's pretty dissatisfying at the same time. The scenes leading up to his death in this episode failed to achieve the dramatic buildup that a character with his franchise legacy deserves. He is one of the most important characters in Dexter history. Batista got stripped of his badge and wound up dead within less than 20 minutes of screen time? That doesn't make any sense. His final moments with Dexter didn't really deliver the emotional punch that you kind of had hoped it would have, because everything happened at such a rapid pace that it all felt too heavy-handed. It felt like the writers just really wanted to get him out of the damn way, which, whatever, man. I don't really know there. For him to just kind of be, whatever, dude. And plus, the fact that it didn't happen in the finale sucks. I'm all for, like, the Pulp Fiction references, but the stay cool, stay very cool line from Thurman threw me off a little bit. I felt too tongue-in-cheek and out of place for such a critical moment in the franchise. While it's not a direct quote, it's impossible to not to think of Samuel L. Jackson's Jewel screaming, "Be cool." You guys know I reviewed that movie before. And Pulp Fiction, which is one of Thurman's most iconic movies. That's cool to have like a character from another film be casted somewhere else, or an actress. Maybe if Charlie had said it at another point in the series, it would have landed better, but it was just not the right time for it, and ultimately came off kind of silly and corny. Things really began to fall apart the moment Dexter freed Batista. He cut the reins off and he was like, oh shit, they're gonna fight with each other. For the first time ever, I wished Dexter's inner monologue had given it a rest during that scene and just kind of let the action play off, but no, they did a little too much. Though we were partners once, maybe we could be partners again line was serious overkill on the voiceover. I don't know, Batista was also wildly one-dimensional in his final scene, echoing the same words about avenging Dokes and Maria he had been saying all fucking season long, like we get it, Batista. This was a real opportunity for him to speak to Dexter personally about betraying his trust and friendship, perhaps at the final line that could have changed Dexter forever. The Batista death scene was unfortunately anticlimactic and rushed without much of a build-up or a showdown. After all this, we are left with a Dexter Morgan, fuck you, and a tearful Dexter before a Mad World outro, which that's a cool song, but whatever. It works, and it's fine to an extent, but it's not as good as I would have expected. After what was one of the best seasons of all time so far. I was just hoping for something more thrilling and satisfying. We didn't necessarily get that. Dexter will likely kill Praetor in the finale, which is kind of what this is building up as, and perhaps Batista's death will inspire Quinn to go after Dexter in the next season, which I really didn't want. I really wanted Batista to stick around. Is it going to get unrenewed? Are people going to shit on this so much that we're not even going to get another season? Who fucking knows? Because this episode kind of shit the bed a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. Getting into the review, there are more bad than good, but let's just get the good news out of the way, and then we can start kind of shitting on this a little bit. Thurman and Dinklage make the most out of their screen time. I will say, those two characters are really good in this episode. Also, Harrison's character continues to improve from New Blood. I mean, obviously he makes some dumb decisions, but his character is fine here. He's building up a relationship with Gigi. He's starting to like have insight into Dexter's stuff and like, should we be careful? Do I have to go here and that? And he's becoming cautious and starting to kind of pick up on Dexter's advice and stuff. That's about where it ends. And I mean, as a con, Angel's death scene in general lacked the emotional depth it deserved. Again, Batista is such an important character, and for them to just boom, just like that, like he just gets shot in the back, and the fact that fucking Praetor killed him, that pisses me off, honestly. Why did Praetor kill him? What? He wasn't even a part of the original series. Also, there's a lot of rapid plot developments. They deflated tension and momentum. I think the writer's room overall was just moving a little too fast, and I think that's another kind of disadvantage of this one. I don't really know, man. The series is struggling also without Praetor's Kill Club. I think that definitely carried the whole season, which is fine, but they deflated that way too early. They literally got rid of it in the 8th episode when there were 2 episodes left in the season, and honestly, I didn't really expect that to be too big of a problem, but looking back on it, wow, they should have kept that around at least for this episode, and then maybe episode 10 dissolve it and then have Batista meet his fate. But with that being said, let me know in the comments. I don't really have time to talk about this for 40 minutes because I have so many other videos to focus on. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV covering your favorite TV shows out there. Give me suggestions in the comments as well. Obviously, we're going into the MCU and going through Dexter Resurrections and whatever comes out of that. But if you guys have other suggestions for me to do in the future, I also have a list of movies I'm going to be watching soon, so just let me know, man.